Our new general manager, Chris Young, was on MLB Network Radio today, and John Morosi was part of the interview, so he tweets out, I think this is very important for Ranger fans. Chris Young says Elvis Andrus could potentially be the starting third baseman next year. I'm going to start off with that from John Morosi. Guys, what do you think of? We kind of discussed it for a minute. We ran out of time. We talked about Josh Young, and I believe he needs 200 at-bats in Double-A before I want to promote him to the major leagues this year. What do you guys think of the Rangers just pretty much keeping third base wide open and just plugging in Elvis right now as the starter to start the year?
It's not my favorite. I get what a crazy jump it would be, but it looks like this is going to be a rough year. I love the idea of just pushing the youth movement as much as you can in every spot and just going Josh Young to start it and say, we'll take the good, we'll take the bad, and go from there.
First off, you were about to say pooping.
You do the facts of life. You take the good, you take the bad,
That's right.
Take them both, and there you have the facts of life.
That's exactly what
I love
Thanks, Mr.
Elvis, Mike. Like, I'm one of those guys that, like, I really love this baseball player. I've always loved him. I understand, like, the production. You're not getting Adrian Beltre production at the plate from him at third base. You're not going to get the home runs. The hits aren't going to be as effective, but I still like the player. I would love to see him retire as a Ranger. I don't know if he's going to be happy in that place.
Yeah.
Because he's been a shortstop his whole life.
Yeah.
And I know, like, we talk about this. These guys have been competitive. It's not built in them to just give up like that rather than just say, I'm done with you guys in general. But I would hope that I could see that dude play a little bit longer.
I think 10 years from now, Elvis goes, and it might be less than that, but about 10 years from now, Elvis goes into the Rangers Hall of Fame. I'm not saying baseball's Hall of Fame, but he deserves for what he did from 2009 through approximately 2020 at shortstop. He deserves to go in the Rangers Hall of Fame, being part of the greatest history of the Texas Rangers. 2010 through 2016 was definitely the greatest time, and he was a major part of that.
And the Rangers love to do stuff like that. Like, just look at their, they loved having Sammy Sosa back so he could hit his 500th home run here. Vlad, having him to do the things that he was doing here. They love being able to say, you know what? These are guys we can sell to the audience because of nostalgia.
Okay, now, that's really not the big news, but that gives you an idea, Ranger fans. Right now, the projection is we're going to move Elvis to third base if it looks like he can handle it in spring training. Or, to y'all's point, if he doesn't want to do it, then I don't know what direction they're going to go, because here is the major news. Chris Young on MLB Network Radio today says Nick Solak is the projected second baseman for 2021. So if people were wondering about Rougned Odor and Nick Solak at second base, Chris Young says today, Nick Solak is our projected second baseman. Do you guys feel good about that? Because you just talked about the youth movement.
Yes.
Nick Solak's not super young, but you are moving away from something that just hasn't worked out.
Look, if you want to move on from Elvis because he's not good anymore, great. I'm all about moving on from players that don't work here anymore. Elvis doesn't work here anymore. Rugi doesn't work here anymore. Will Solak? I don't know, but let's give it a shot, because I would rather see something new that I don't know than see the same thing that I know doesn't work here.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting. Solak is not the best. I only get to see him play a little second base. Last year, obviously, there was a limited amount of games, and they were still running Rougned Odor out there every chance they had. Nick Solak at times struggled with second base, but I wonder with his career, when you just give him that position and say, you're not going to try to play center field, you're not going to try to play left field, we're not going to force ground balls at third base on you, we want you to become defensively sound at second base. Every ground ball, every situation is you're learning how to be the best second baseman. I wonder if they can get him to the standard that they need defensively. I do think offensively he has a lot to offer the Texas Rangers. So I'm excited about the Rangers making the move to go with Nick Solak as the starting second baseman in 2021. What does that mean for Rougned Odor? Chris Young spoke about that. Chris Young says that Rougned Odor could see some time at second base, third base, and even possibly the outfield. So they're moving Rougned Odor because they owe him money still. As of now, they're saying most likely Rougned is going to be what Nick Solak was, and that is you're going to be on the bench, but you could play second base tonight because it could be a tough matchup and we want a lefty in there instead of Nick Solak in there. Hey, you could split time with Elvis Andrus at third base until Josh Young is ready. I know in this it doesn't say until Josh Young is ready, but we know what they're doing. The reason they didn't go out in the offseason and go get a guy like Frazier, who they did last year, is they want third base to be available for Josh Young when he is ready to play at a major league level. And then for outfield purposes, hey, Rougned, can you figure out how to, run around out there? And he was very good. I'll tell you this, because Nomar Mazara was very limited in his range, Rougned Odor had to sprint back and catch a lot of fly balls that most right fielders would catch, but Nomar couldn't get to. So I don't know this, but I know that Rougie's very good at going back and catching fly balls from second base. I don't know how he's going to be in an outfield utility situation because, it's a little bit different, catching fly balls in the outfield versus catching fly balls that are infield pop-ups. But we'll see how Rougned fits there and if Rougned will accept this. I think the positive thing for me, guys, and I'll let you talk on this, is Nick Solak's going to be the starting second baseman as long as everything goes okay in spring training. And Rougie's going to be moved to utility position, and Elvis is going to be moved to utility position. I just don't know if those guys will accept those roles.
Yeah, look, when at least one of you in Rougned has been treated with kid gloves and no one dare says a word to you because at one point you were going to be our future. And at one point, Rougned was definitely going to be our future. But I don't understand why the tough love never came into effect for him because they were like, yeah, you look great in spring training, so we're going to start you. You're terrible in the regular season. Oh, well, there's a lot of reasons, and you're swinging the bat well, and I know you're never getting on base, but theoretically, you're swinging really well. So I wonder when they drop the hammer and they're like, hey, you actually have to earn your job and earn your starting time. He's going to be like, what? Why? The hell with that?
Yeah, he'll be really confused.
I wonder if there's any way, guys, because Rougie's going to be awesome in spring training. As long as spring training starts and everything, Rougned has never had a bad spring training. He's always been the best spring training guy. Ryan Rua was very good in spring training too. I wonder if you can get a team who has an injury in spring training or struggling at second base. I'm not saying that team's going to take on the rest of his salary, but I think it's like 3 years and $40 million left. I'm not exactly sure. I'm going off the top of my head. It's like 3 for 36 or 3, something like that. Could you pay 50% of the salary and say the team is like, dude, he's doing great in spring training and maybe we can get out of him what has been missing since 2017. So maybe you can parlay a great spring training into trading him. You're probably going to have to send 50% of the money at least in the trade.
Look,
but I just wonder if that could be something the Rangers would think about.
Then we'd get 50% back because right now I do not think he is worth anything. So I would support that. I just think it's unlikely given how teams would. You would think if they did their research, they'd be like, doesn't he always do this? But maybe they won't. That'd be great. I'd support that.
Yeah, so this is, I think, big news. Really big news.
That is big news.
From Chris Young today. Nick Solak starting second baseman. Elvis possibly the starting third baseman. Rougned trying to work some at third base and some in the outfield. So there is a little bit of a shakeup, right? I mean, if after last season, if you're like, well, it was only 60 games and they're going to just try to do it all over again, we've gotten in the offseason. Kiner Falefa will be the starting shortstop. Solak will be the starting second baseman. And third base is wide open, waiting for the 8th overall pick in 2019, Josh Young, to be ready for it.